Hi there! Welcome back to another episode of The Grocery Guide, a video series dedicated to helping you make the most nutritious choices at the grocery store. My name is Ashley, I'm a registered dietitian, and today I want to talk about the dreaded egg aisle and what all of those label claims mean. To help simplify this process, I've found that these claims can be lumped into one of two categories: what hens eat and what their living conditions look like. But before we dive into that, there's a few claims that really hold no meaning at all, and you can scratch these off your list the next time you're walking through the egg aisle. USDA requires this term to be accompanied by a statement explaining why it is considered all natural, like no artificial ingredients or minimally processed. If there is no disclaimer, which in my experience is more common than not, consider the all natural label meaningless and move on. Farm fresh. This term sounds like Auntie May just harvested these eggs at dawn, carried them back to the house in her apron, and placed them in the very carton you've just selected. It sounds nice, but that's just not the case. There is zero regulation of this term, so just ignore it. No hormones. Using hormones in meat and poultry was banned in the 1960s, and our government regulates this rather strictly. This label is a nice reminder that hormones weren't used, but since no eggs on the shelves will contain added hormones, don't let this claim sway your decision. Okay, now that we've got those out of the way, let's take a look at the claims regarding what hens eat. First up, vegetarian fed. This term is ridiculous because chickens are not vegetarian. They are omnivores who naturally forage insects, grasshoppers, and worms for protein. Vegetarian feed is typically grain or corn-based and supplemented with protein because these eggs likely come from caged birds, where foraging for natural sources of protein is not possible. Bottom line, stop paying more for vegetarian eggs. This label does not mean that hens were treated more humanely, nor does it mean that the eggs are healthier for you to eat. Omega-3. This label simply means that a hen's feed was supplemented with omega-3, so her eggs contain high levels of omega-3 as well. Again, these eggs likely come from caged hens rather than pasture-raised hens. Pastured hens don't need omega-3 supplements because their diets naturally contain omega-3 by way of foraging. No antibiotics added. Eggs can only be labeled as such if egg farmers choose not to feed antibiotics while hens are laying eggs. This prevents antibiotic residues from being passed along to the eggs. Certified organic must be antibiotic-free by regulation, so if you're buying organic, you can be sure that those eggs are antibiotic-free. Organic. Eggs marked with the USDA organic label come from uncaged hens that are free to roam in their houses and have access to the outdoors. These hens are also fed an organic diet of feed produced without conventional pesticides or fertilizers, much like what eating organic means for you and me. All right, moving on to category number 2, living conditions. This is where it gets a little squirrely because not all of these claims are regulated. If you see a claim like cage-free, free-range, or pasture-raised, you'll also want to be sure the carton has a USDA service mark or the logo from a third-party certification like one of these. If you don't see any of these, then that cage-free or free-range claim is not regulated. So cage-free or free-range could mean anything. Each certifying body has a different definition for what cage-free, free-range, and pasture-raised means. The USDA actually has the most vague definition. If you take a look at the comparison in my post below, you'll see that the USDA does not provide specific space allotments for what cage-free or free-range means, nor does it provide any specific guidelines for what pasture-raised means, like the third-party certifiers do. For example, under the USDA or a non-certified label, cage-free can look like this or this, and free-range can look like this or this. So then which third-party certifier is the best? To quickly sum this up, the Animal Welfare Approved certification is considered the gold standard in terms of the most humane living conditions because this certification has the most rigorous standards for animal welfare and environmental sustainability of any U.S. program. If you're concerned about animal welfare and sustainable agriculture, then look for this label the next time you're choosing your eggs at the grocery store. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager about having them carry it. But what about nutrition? Are any of these eggs healthier? The research is really lacking in this area, but one study found that, compared to caged hens, pasture-raised hens produced eggs with twice as much vitamin E and omega-3s, as well as a more favorable omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio. So in short, yes, pasture-raised eggs may be healthier for us to eat than cage-free simply because the diets of pasture-raised hens are more nutritious, thus creating a more nutritious egg. If you can, buy a pasture-raised egg with the Animal Welfare Approved certification. It may be the healthiest, most humane, and most sustainable option you can choose at the grocery store. Another great way to find eggs like this is to get to know your local egg farmer. Enter your zip code on localhens.com to find a local egg farmer near you. Got a question about eggs that I didn't cover? Leave it in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.